Hi, this is Sarah from the Brain Food Clinic. Today we're going to talk about children that are fussy eaters and how best to manage that. You often hear said that children will eat when they're hungry, so just leave them and at some point they're going to eat the broccoli or the spinach or whatever when they're hungry enough. But in my experience, that's certainly not the case. In fact, some children will just refuse to eat, full stop, if that's the pathway that you take. Children that are labelled picky eaters are something much more complex than just plain fussiness or using food refusal to exercise power going on. Their problems aren't behavioural, they're biomedical. The problem is rooted in the child's biochemistry, and because of this, we won't solve the issue with reward charts and hostile standoffs. We need to investigate the underlying issues and correct them in order to allow the child to move forward. I work a lot with children with autism where limiting foods is a common problem. I would also say that eating disorders too have their basis in biochemical imbalances. In both cases, nutritional imbalances, deficiencies, imbalanced gut flora, and food intolerances combined to cause sensory issues and anxieties that influence food choice. There's also the problem of self-selecting foods that might give them an opiate-like effect. This is often the case with gluten and casein-containing foods in children with autism. Or children might choose carbohydrate-rich foods to raise blood sugar levels or to feed non-beneficial flora or yeasts that are present in the gut. These signals that the body sends out in these instances lead to very, very strong cravings for certain kinds of foods. Other issues with food selection include the exclusion of protein-rich foods. Sometimes poor digestion causes children to refuse to eat protein-based foods. Proteins require a good amount of stomach acid to be broken down and to be used efficiently by the body. It becomes a vicious cycle because brain chemistry is affected further by the inability to break down the amino acids needed to build neurotransmitters. But the child will refuse to eat protein-rich foods because it makes them feel uncomfortable because they cannot break it down properly. To say that a child with autism who also has a history of reflux, colic and vomiting will eat when they're hungry and to enforce strong rules around this would be a mistreatment. A child with strong sensory disturbances experiencing lumpy foods or certain textures as repugnant to sit at the table until all the food was eaten would be traumatic for them. While it's true that these experiences can make a child feel anxious about trying certain foods, it's certainly not the only cause of anxiety. Many of these children have constant anxieties, the root of which is multiple, but all of them are biological in origin. Nutrient deficiencies can lead to chronic anxiety, and an imbalanced gut flora can also contribute. Identifying the physical issues and correcting them with a biomedical approach over time helps children to accept more foods without anxiety and disgust. So if your child needs some help with fussy eating, then get in touch with the Brain Food Clinic and we'll help you put together a program to help your child overcome their anxiety and difficulties around food.